Hello and welcome to my film review for James Bond No Time to Die. I went into this film about a week ago and a lot of my friends had already told me that this was the best James Bond ever. So I actually watched the trailer and thought it looks okay, but I'm not sure. And then everyone was saying it was absolutely incredible. So I went in with quite high hopes. So the question is, does it live up to the hype? And I would say it mostly does. Best James Bond ever? Not for me. For me, it's the third best in the Craig era. For me, I think Casino Royale is my favourite. Skyfall is probably the best film, but I just always love Casino Royale because of all the poker. But it is a very solid entry into the James Bond franchise. But for me, it doesn't quite make the cut as, one of the best James Bond films ever. And I think the reason for that is because there is enough to keep it fresh, but it does still follow a lot of the same formulas. So it's not revolutionary, but it is well made. Now, it is well made and it is very well done. And Daniel Craig is absolutely magnificent. There's real emotion in his performance. Different to previous Bonds, there's a vulnerability to him that's been a kind of running theme throughout the Craig era. He is getting old, and I will just say there will be spoilers in this video. So he is getting old, and that ultimately leads to his death. And I kind of liked that in previous Bond films, you always knew Bond would be fine. He'd be absolutely fine. He's going to go and shoot someone, and about 20 people, and then the Bond villain will be like, hey, Bond, it's nice to meet you. Have him in his grasp, could shoot him, find some kind of ludicrous reason not to, and then Bond will escape and save the day. It's been done to death. So the fact that didn't really happen this time, I thought was really refreshing and a great change. Some other changes that were really good as well. Nomi is undeniably cool as the new female 007, and it was great, that kind of banter between those two, with Nomi taking the 007 title as well. So I thought that she was a really great addition. I also really liked the modern twists of none of the women actually being interested in James Bond sexually. It was quite funny, and it was just good to see that kind of change in the film as well. But really the film is about family and the relationship with Madeleine and his daughter. And I think that runs throughout as well, and I think it's a bit of a change that for Bond. It's all usually about saving the world and less to do with that genuine human connection. I think the film is better for it. But I do think there are some things that could have been better, and I just feel like Rami Malek Safin is good. But his character feels really underdeveloped for me. It wasn't actually clear what his motives were either. And therefore I just felt like there was a little less at stake because of that as well. The action sequences are actually really strong. The scene with Paloma is a lot of fun. I thought that was really good. However, some of the scenes are still a bit ridiculous. It is kind of classic Bond, and you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But they're just sort of almost not looking and shooting people, and it just felt like they were... I liked the fact that James Bond dies at the end, and that was a bit of a surprise, but for the rest of it, you never felt like they were in trouble, really. Although I think the action sequence on the steps, where he was sort of going like that and using bodies to protect himself, I thought that felt a bit like the Bourne films, which for me is some of the best action I've ever seen. So I did actually think some parts were really good. And also the bit where he's in the tunnel and he's shot, and it looks like the opening sequence to all the James Bond films. Actually, to have that in the film, I thought, oh, that is really cool. But the ending was fantastic, and I thought it was a great way to bring the Craig era to an end. It was nice to see Bond, in a way, defeated, but for him to still achieve his objective at the same time. I think it also raises the intriguing question of what will happen next after Bond's death. We've never seen that before in the Bond franchise. It is new. Who will take over from Bond is the question on everyone's lips. Do we need another sea change? Does it need to be completely different, or does it need to follow the same formulas? I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen. It's certainly intriguing. There'll certainly be a lot of discussions about it. But yeah, so whilst this is a very good film, it's not one of the best Bond films ever, but it's certainly up there as a really solid James Bond entry. So I think an 8 out of 10 for me, and I definitely would like to see it again.